I used to sell a T-shirt that said, "Comedy's not a job; it's a personality disorder." You know,
Yeah.
so a lot of my jokes come out of actual interactions with people or seeing something and going, "Oh my God, that's obvious." There
Right.
was a sign in the subway that said, "Thinking of suicide? We can help." And I just laughed because it's such an odd way to phrase that. And even though you know what they mean, it sounds terrible.
Welcome to the show. Thanks for making the time to come on.
My pleasure.
Yeah. I'm happy
And
that we
notice,
got
of course, my background is backwards.
it's backwards to you probably because your camera is mirroring, but
Yes.
it looks perfectly. I can read everything from my end.
Oh, it's frontwards to the viewer.
Yeah, frontwards to the viewer, so don't worry about
Oh,
that.
well,
That's
good. That's all I want to know.
yeah, that's thrown me off a couple times before too. I think there's a setting in Zoom that allows you to like flip it for yourself, but I've used like Google Meet before, and it just leaves it mirrored.
Okay. Well, I mean, I've seen it. I don't care. It's
Yeah.
just I like that backdrop for this because it shows a little bit of my career.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Which I can't wait to talk to you about. When I was asking you about the
Shouldn't have
one,
to wait really because it's time, right?
yeah, true. um, uh, what was the one word that you chose for the episode? It was toy.
Boy.
Toy. So why did the word toy come to mind for you?
Well, I mean, if you ask for one word that's supposed to make me think about life and my view of life, I think toy.
Okay.
Um, because I think a lot of people look at life as a game, and a game has rules and an objective. Whereas I've always thought more like life as experience and play, and the outcome is less important than the experience.
Hmm. That's a very good point, and I feel like staying grounded in the experience versus the outcome is often what leads to the most fulfillment, the most happiness, and just the overall like betterment of your life. When people are too focused on outcomes, they tend to get lost and they don't enjoy the process at all.
I only care about how much I'm enjoying it. I
Yeah.
mean, it's not that I have no ambition. I would have liked to have done certain things that didn't happen. But at the same time, I've turned down a lot of things that probably would have been good for me, but
Right.
I knew I wouldn't enjoy them at all.
Yeah. What are some of those things?
Oh, I mean, motivational speaker opportunities and,
Yeah.
the kind of things people do for money, which I
Yeah.
I get, I understand. And if I needed money, I'd figure something out. But, so far I've been able to survive doing what I want to do. And to me, time is the only non-renewable resource. I mean, everything else can be replaced, money and stuff, but your time just goes. So
Yeah.
every minute that I spend doing what I want is valuable to me.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now, like early on in comedians and entertainers' careers, they're often like very much people pleasers in the way that they accept everything that gets thrown at them. Was there a point in your career where you decided, like, okay, enough, like I have to just focus on what brings me the most joy or what I want to do versus just saying yes to every opportunity?
Well, the thing is, there weren't really any opportunities early on. It was just working on the act always. I mean, there
Mm,
was no money in it at all for a number of years. So for me, it was always just doing it as I never thought of it as a career. The fact that it turned into one was a happy accident almost.
yeah.
That there was enough going on in comedy, and it became a big enough scene that I could make money doing it. But that was never why I bothered.
Right. Yeah, because correct me if I'm wrong, you've been doing comedy 47 years?
That's right.
Wow. So you've seen like a complete evolution through many probably times of like a boom and then like a downfall. And then now we're seeing this huge explosion again with like social media. Do you think the current state of comedy is like a bubble that's going to pop again the same way that the one in the 80s did? Or do you think that this is just the new normal of the comedy scene?
I don't know. I mean, until it pops, it's what it is.
Yeah.
The thing is that the whole social media thing, I'm not very involved. I mean, I don't really post comedy online or anything like that. Um, Partly because I like it to be really good, and I work all the time to make my act really good, or in my opinion.
Yeah.
Although, the audiences seem to like it too,
Yeah,
obviously.
yeah, that
But
helps.
um, part of the problem for me with this, the way it works now, is it's people just have to put stuff out constantly. So it leads to a lot of, in my opinion, um, amateurish, low quality. I mean, it's a little like I don't want to be forgiven for, well, what do you want if I'm putting stuff out every day? Well, then don't if you can't put out quality every day.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
talk show has a staff of writers for
Yeah.
the try to have a monologue every day. And
Yeah.
even those often miss. A single comic isn't going to be able to put out something of quality every day.
Yeah.
Anybody who could would be a miracle,
Yeah, they would
but
have to have a team around them at some
it
point to
doesn't
be
exist.
make it quality in any way.
So you see a lot of people putting up little interactions with the audience, crowd work
Yeah.
things that sometimes are okay. But again, the standard is lower because it's just off the top of your head. So it's kind of like improv. People will accept a lower quality of laugh because they're just coming up with it then. So
Right.
it's impressive in that way. But it's not how I like to work. I like to work on it and perfect it and keep perfecting it all the time. I mean, I'm always improving and working on the same bits and trying to figure out a little nuance or an extra tag or something to make it work better
Right.
because that's what I'm interested in.
Yeah. And like, do you for me, like the when I know when I need to, and this is, I'm not saying this is the right way at all, but for me, I know I need to work on new materials when I'm getting sick of the stuff that I've done over and over and over again, and I need space sort of from those ideas. Not saying that I'm putting them on the shelf, but maybe a new idea for it'll come up later if I start working on something else. What's your process with like writing jokes? Are you just constantly trying to write new stuff and pick through the weeds of what you have, or are you more so looking at what your body of work is currently and trying to improve upon maybe turning a 1 minute bit into a 5 minute bit?
I don't work like that. I don't ever sit and try to write a bit. Everything in my act is something that came to me as a gift from how I look at the world. I mean, I used to sell a T-shirt that said, "Comedy's not a job; it's a personality disorder." You know,
Yeah.
so a lot of my jokes come out of actual interactions with people or seeing something and going, "Oh my God, that's obvious." There
Right.
was a sign in the subway that said, "Thinking of suicide? We can help." And I just laughed because it's such an odd way to phrase that. And even though you know what they mean, it sounds terrible. And
Yeah,
somebody got away with posting that.
yeah.
Nobody,
There's
nobody in the room was a comic who went, "Wait a second."
yeah, let's not do this.
So
That was
sometimes
like
I feel like that's really my job is just to look at things that people just accept as, "Oh, this is just how it is," and go, "Well, but no, that's not."
yeah. There was an old, I remember from like a business class I took in high school, they were talking about how translations of advertisements can go horribly wrong if you don't have someone from that country translating
Sure.
for you. Pepsi was like debuting some new type of like whatever Pepsi. And in the West, it was like one sip like brings you to life or something. But then when they sent it over to China, it translated to like brings your ancestors back from the dead. And it was like just not a good translation. And they sold no Pepsi because everyone's like, I don't want that zombie juice. Like what?
Well, there's the story of trying to sell baby food in Africa. Do you know this one?
No,
Where
no.
in Africa, because so many people weren't able to read, they just assumed that what's on the label is in the bottle. So there's a
Okay.
picture of a baby on the bottle, and they were horrified.
Like what are these monsters trying to sell us right now?
Exactly.
The suicide note thing gives me like a funny bit that I remember from a comedian named Dan Belkin. He was talking about how the advertisements inside the bus and outside the bus are very different. On the outside of the bus, it's like, hey, like if you're looking for a new home or a car, like here's like an advertisement for you. Inside the bus, it's like, are you thinking about killing yourself? It's like they know their demos too well here. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I was just like such a brilliant like observation in comparison.
Well, going back to social media, then, the
Yeah,
whole understanding the audience, etc. See, I find that part of the problem is um, nothing for everybody is going to be good for anybody.
right.
When I work a live crowd, I'm sensing it. I have antenna that are deciding what I'm going to say and how I'm going to say it and what I'm going to talk about, depending on who is there.
Hmm.
And I can tell what they're responding to. If you're putting it out for the world, it's going to be whatever. It's not going to be very interesting for certainly not for everybody. I'm not saying that your audience won't find you.
Right.
One of the trends that bothers me about this whole social media thing is a lot of clubs will now book based on, how many followers a person has, their
Yeah.
social media presence. And a lot of those people can't actually deliver when they have to do a 45-minute show as a
Yeah.
headliner at a comedy club. They haven't worked on their act enough. They've worked on content creation and presence and influencing and all the
Hmm.
things that are marketing, but they never made the recipe.
And the trap is social media, the algorithm puts you into like an echo chamber as a creator, whether you like it or not. You're inevitably going to be more favorable to the people that like your stuff and blocking the people that don't like your stuff. And sometimes the people that don't like it, maybe they might even have some like good criticism of like whatever the joke is, or not to say that you should listen to everything that people say online. I'm not saying that at all, but it almost gives some comedians the like air of ego of like, well, I have X amount of followers and I get a lot of positive comments. So it's like, yeah, but you probably curated those comments so that it's all positive.
Well, and that's fine if I mean, it's your business.
Yeah.
I understand that you're going to want people to read, I love this and this is great and whatever, but people are ultimately still going to make up their own minds of what they think.
Hmm.
The other thing is that the same, I've worked clubs where I opened for the popular internet, whatever.
Hmm.
And first of all, they didn't draw a particularly big crowd or anything. It's not like the people who watch them on the internet are necessarily going to pay to see them live
Yeah, very
anyway.
true.
The club is booking them on the hope that their fan base will show up and buy drinks and pay for tickets.
Yeah.
And in fact, it wasn't in any way a special turnout. And they weren't good. I mean, they didn't do well
Which makes it
for the people
harder.
who did show up. So, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, there was a New York comic named Greg Stone that I was talking to, and he was like, I'm considering just deleting all my social media. And when I go to book at clubs, they'll check and be like, well, he doesn't have a presence. And so that we'll just have to take him on his word that, he's been on, like, just give podcast credits or I've been on, Jimmy Kimmel or I've been on this late night show and just book me off of that, which was sort of the older way of like, if you had a TV credit, you attach a Just for Laughs logo or an MTV logo or a festival, people go, okay, this person has gone through these gatekeepers, they must be good. And that was just assumed by the audience.
again, nobody's for everybody. One
Hmm.
of the problems with comedy has always been that it's sold as a generic yellow box with the word comedy across it
Right.
product. You don't go to a concert where they say it's music tonight.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't happen,
You
you
see a
know?
jazz musician and then a folk player and
Well,
yeah,
that's what I
it's
mean. It's not going to
yeah.
happen. You're not going to get, a rap group and then Metallica and then a
Yeah.
country band I mean, except at the Grammy Awards.
Yeah.
But, a show is a show for the audience it's for. And so the whole comedy thing is very strange in that way. When you go to clubs where it's just the comedy club
Mm-hmm.
and you really don't know. And there's a lot of nights where um, you'll see 3 or 4 different people where it's just like, I mean, I liked one, and I don't mind that actually, that there's something for everyone,
Right.
but it's also kind of strange that there's going to be 1 or 2 that some don't want to see.
Yeah.
Uh, which is why certain clubs they develop a reputation for curating at a certain level or style or whatever. So people who go know that, okay, I can trust that if I go here, I'm going to see a professional show, or
Right.
I'm going to see an edgy show that which is what I want to see, or a clean show or a dark show or a
It'd be funny if there was just a one-liner only show. It's just only people doing one-liners.
yeah,
I
well,
was
and
thinking of
some
all the
people are
different
great
types
at
of
that.
comedy. Yeah, but
Like,
you would never see a lineup though that's like completely, Stephen Wright, where
no,
it's like it would get to a point where you're like, all right, I get it. Like we're seeing just sort of versions of the same thing, which is such a fascinating thing with comedy. Is it's so much based on the personality of the person more than the style of the jokes, right?
well, the style of the jokes is a reflection. It's a singer-songwriter.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a band or it's really, more like James Taylor, Cat Stevens. I'm old.
That's okay.
But you know what I mean. It's
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's a man and a microphone
Right.
and or a woman, and it's going to be a reflection of them.
Yeah.
Now, people who are starting tend to not find themselves yet and play more, you know, it's more like watching somebody who does covers.
Right. I remember the first time I started doing comedy and I showed like a friend's brother my set and said, what do you think? And the most honest feedback I've ever heard, and it helped me so much. He said, "It sounds like you're doing an impression of what you think a comedian sounds like." And I was like, "Damn, that's exactly like put my finger on it immediately when he said that, and I was able to change my approach right from there and just be more myself on stage." Did you, when early on, like, did you find yourself mirroring anyone that you really liked in comedy, and
Absolutely.
when did it click for you to switch into like your own personality?
It wasn't a click, it was a process, a
Gradual? Okay.
gradual learning. I mean, when I first started, the album that really sort of blew my mind back then in terms of joke writing was the Nightclub Years, Woody Allen's stand-up album. I don't know
Mm,
if you've ever heard it. It's like
no.
a triple album or something. And it's great. I mean, the jokes are so sharp and so funny. And I tried to write jokes. I've always been more of a writer than an entertainer.
Mm,
I've learned to do my jokes the best way possible and deliver properly. And that took me much longer than learning how to write jokes. I was writing jokes long before I was even doing stand up. I mean,
really?
all through school, I was writing jokes always.
Did
Um,
you recognize that they were jokes, or were you just writing down things that you found like
oh,
humorous?
no, I always knew it was jokes.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
mean, at 11 or 12, I found Mad Magazine. It was jokes.
Yeah.
That opened my mind a lot, actually, because until then, maybe Bugs Bunny was funny, funny.
Yeah.
But most stuff that was aimed at kids that was supposed to be funny was just nonsense. Um, riddle books, uh, what's red and goes putt putt, an outboard apple. It's just nonsense. The joke is that it's makes no sense, but it's not funny, funny. It doesn't, you know,
Right.
make you laugh.
Yeah, like that kind of like catch you by surprise laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And something a little bit seditious. I don't know how else to put it. A little
Yeah.
bit we're saying something we're not supposed to. We're pointing out something that, people don't politely discuss. Mad Magazine had that. Bugs Bunny was like that.
Right.
That sort of, you know, he's not playing along with the Marx Brothers when I finally saw them, but that was already later.
Mm.
You know, so as you develop more uh as you see more, you learn more and have more ideas and more thoughts about what you can talk about and what's permissible and what's not permissible, but you can.
Right. Now, in for a lot of people, when they tell their family that they want to be a comedian, there's usually like most people in Canada don't have like family members that are in the entertainment industry, like a place like LA or New York would have, where they're sort of, following in the footsteps of somebody. So there's usually another family member that helps impact that. Like for me, it was my uncle giving me Robin Williams live on Broadway, giving me George Carlin, and telling me to listen to these things that got me into comedy. It was listening to, my grandmother, just like no filter, just the funniest person, just without even thinking about it, and kind of like absorbing that sort of instinct. Was there anyone that had like a big impact on you, and how did your family react to you saying, "Hey, I'm going to be a comedian"?
Well, that's a lot of different questions.
It is a lot of
Um,
different questions, so take your time with it,
well,
and I
let
can
me
repeat
start.
things.
My parents were both doctors. So you can imagine the delight
Yeah.
they had when I pursued comedy. But bear in mind that I started when I was 17 years old in grade 11.
Wow.
It wasn't like I was pursuing comedy. A club opened. I'd already been doing skits at summer camp, and I wrote a play that was very much in the Mad Magazine mold, song parodies. I went to Hebrew school, and for graduation out of grade 9, so what was I, 12,
Yeah.
13 kind of thing. Um, I wrote a play based on the Exodus, the Jews leaving Egypt, the
Yeah.
slavery, called Moses and all that, with silly jokes and songs. And so very early on, we were a funny family. I mean, my brother, if you look up my brother, David Rakoff, um, he's sadly died too young, but he was a famous, famous humorist. He lived in New York and won all kinds of awards and wrote books and was a brilliant writer. Now, I'm the eldest. He was 4 years younger.
Wow.
Um, but I'm saying our family was funny. We had a lot of laughs around the table, even though my parents were serious people, real jobs. You know, it was, there was a lot of respect for wit and joking and humor and quips. And a comedy club opened when I was 17, and I thought I should try it. I mean, it's not enough to be funny with the couple of people you know. I wanted to see if I was actually funny, if strangers would find me funny.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a real validation, is when it's someone you know that doesn't have an invested interest in your life that's laughing at something you said. You're like, all right, validated. That is funny.
Well, the class clown in high school was an idiot to me.
Yeah, yeah,
I
very
didn't
true.
find him funny at all.
Yeah,
I thought he was just a moron.
I was always the worst kid. I've been asked that
And,
question before. Were you the class clown in school? You're like, no, I was the quiet kid at the back, mocking everyone to my friends.
that's right.
Like,
I was the one nobody liked. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
no, exactly. Did you ever see Lady Dynamite, the sitcom that Maria Bamford did?
No, what's that?
Oh, it's fantastic. I mean, she's brilliant. She's one of
Yeah,
my
Maria
favorites.
Bamford's so
But
funny.
there's a scene in The Office where there's a guy making everybody laugh, and he's just doing Borat impressions and
That's what she said.
Wayne's World and just doing that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then somebody says, "Wait a minute, you do comedy, don't you, Maria? Tell us a joke." And she tells one of her jokes, and it's hilarious, but they're just too dumb to understand what she's
Yeah.
getting at. And I mean, the joke was something, and I'll get it wrong because it's weird names, but she says, if I have kids, I'm going to name them Schnortzlats and Barfloff. Now you're saying, well, how do you know they'll be girls? Oh, a mother knows. Okay, so hilarious, bizarre, outlandish,
Yeah,
funny.
yeah.
But the people in the office are just like, yeah, okay. And this is what it's like when you're a real comedian is
Yeah.
you can't expect morons out of context to actually laugh. They laugh at the dumb guy who's like, hey, working hard or hardly working?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Mondays, am I right? And
Precisely.
fuck, it's water cooler talk is what I call it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, they're being sociable, and I get
Yeah.
it. They're not funny, so they they do their best, and they're entitled. But
Yeah.
it would not go over well in a professional environment with people who didn't know them.
Oh yeah. 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 How do
Whenever
you?
somebody tells me about their funny friend,
Hmm.
this guy I know is so funny, this guy at work is so funny. I say, first of all, many of the funniest people I know are not comedians. That's
Yeah.
not on. The difference, though, is they can pick their spots. So it's a bit like the difference between a mugger and a fighter. A
Right.
mugger goes up behind a guy, cracks him in the back of the head, and goes, I win.
Yeah.
A fighter stands facing the opponent who knows they're there to fight and wins.
That's a
It's a
great
very different
analogy.
level of of interaction.
Yeah, and there's been training that's gone involved into going face to face.
And they're expecting it, and you
Yeah.
still get them
Yeah.
because it's tripping a switch. Uh, I have a lot of pseudoscientific theories about laughter and comedy
Tell me them.
that I've thought about that I don't know are true, but I think that that surprise thing, you've got to surprise them in comedy. If they see it's coming, they don't laugh.
Yeah.
Um, so I think it's two thoughts that were in your brain but never connected. I think you're making a new synapse connection of
Mm.
two things that people never saw as linking together in any
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Um, like I do a silly joke about my head. I say I went to Shoppers. I picked up some Head and Shoulders for my dog. And the cashier looks at it and says, "Oh, I guess it's for your shoulders." It's a silly bald joke, but
Yeah, it
nobody ever
works.
thinks like, of course, Head and Shoulders,
Yeah.
but it's called Head and Shoulders because it keeps the dandruff off your shoulders, not because it's shampoo for your shoulders.
Yeah, yeah.
But so it's a thing. It's things people know, but they never put together and
Yeah.
click. So my
Yeah, I love
analogy for
waking
it,
up that dormant part where they know that, but then when you make that surprise, you're right. It does form that like neural connection in their brain.
yeah, and you've got to get there first.
Yeah.
So the way I liken it is the railroad, the Canadian Railroad, was built from both ends. It was built from the east and the west, and then they built to the middle where they met. And then the Golden Spike, the famous Golden Spike, was the railroad spike that linked the two lines.
Yeah.
To me, that's the laugh. That's the punchline. It's the
Yeah.
two diverse thoughts that are already in your brain. You know those two things. It's that moment of cling, and the audience goes, "Oh!" and laughs.
I love that. I have one joke about like taking my dog to the dog park and there was like a horny dog going around like humping all the dogs and I knock off the dog, but then a bigger dog gets on my back and I was like, great, I'm gonna have to beat this dog off. Immediately people go to the dirty end of it. And I say, it's not what you think, it's not what you think. I would never hit an animal. And let them go, oh, that's not what he meant. I'm like, I just jerked him off. And then I go right back to where their brain was at before. And it gets this sort of rolling, like,
Because it's judo. It's it's
yeah.
it's going making the momentum go one way and then
Yeah.
reversing it.
It's the most fun thing ever. Like when I even tell people who have never done comedy in their life, I'm like, try it at least once because even if you never do it again, do it one time at like a mic or get on like a Yuck Yucks amateur show or try to get on like a absolute show and just do one show, 5 minutes, whatever, because you get one big laugh and it's like a wave of just good feeling. Like it's you can't even describe it really. It's like
I
something you
agree
have
with
to
you.
experience.
And the other thing I explain to people, because you'll say to people, they tell you a joke or they say they've always been funny or whatever, and I say you should try it. They go, "Oh no, I'm too scared." And I always
Yeah.
say, "Well, but what's the worst possible outcome?
Yeah.
The down. It's not skydiving
Yeah.
where, oh my God, the parachute didn't open and you're dead. The worst possible outcome is they have a bad time for 5 minutes and sit there silently.
Yeah.
and nobody cares. They won't, if you kill, they won't remember your name. They really won't remember if you bomb.
Yeah, it's very true. They're going to be on to the next person within moments. By the end of the night, they're going to walk right past you like you weren't even on stage. So there really
Yeah,
is nothing to lose. Have you ever
yeah,
heard of the author Stephen Pressfield?
no,
He wrote a great book called The War of Art, and it's all about this idea of whenever you're trying to, whether you're trying to get a six pack in the gym, you're trying to finish a book, quit smoking, pursue an art, there's this thing that he identifies as resistance, where a block will come up, whether it's a family member telling you not to do it or yourself saying, I'm too scared to do that thing. And what that is it's actually a compass of what you're supposed to do. And so the thing, oftentimes for a lot of people, the pursuing something that scares you should actually motivate you to do it, because once you get past that feeling, you have an immense amount of accomplishment. And what happens is when you have all this creative energy built up inside of you, and if you're not channeling that at the right thing, like your soul's purpose, the thing that's going to make you feel happier and fulfilled, it'll just that energy will just get channeled into like a negative way. It can get channeled into addiction. It can get channeled into sitting on the couch all day. It can get channeled into depression. That energy has to go somewhere. And so it's actually, you should be more scared of not doing the thing than doing the thing that you're scared of.
that's why I always walk straight into traffic without looking, because
'Cause
I
you're the
am not
most
going to
scared
let
of
my
it.
fear hold me back.
Damn these people, what they say about jaywalkers. Yeah, I always have to like mind the fence when I talk about that sort of thing. I mean, in a constructive, artistic expression. Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Not
that
just,
was my
man, I'm
mistake.
really scared of fentanyl. I better just do a lot of it.
Exactly.
I'll get over it in no time. So when did you start wearing suits on stage? And were
I
you,
always wore a jacket.
okay,
I actually, when I first started, I wore a suit, because it was the only sort of fancy clothes I had. I was a kid
right.
in school. I had t-shirts and jeans. I had one suit, probably my bar mitzvah suit. you know, I put on, and
Yeah,
just because I wanted to look more like a grown-up at
right.
17, where I really looked like a child. And I fooled nobody. When I got a little older, I started wearing t-shirts with a jacket over it. That was for a long time. But for the last number of years, I've worn a suit and
Hmm.
tie. And
Is that just for your own personal, or do you think that because I've heard this before, that like the performer should look, I don't want to say better, but more put together than the audience.
I think it depends totally on who you are up there.
Hmm.
There's some guys who go on with a hoodie and a baseball cap, and that's their persona. I mean, that's who they are,
Yeah.
and it works well for them. And they're sort of like, "Hey, man," and how's it? That's
Yeah.
their character or their personality. I mean, it's
Sure.
not. I'm a much more careful, carefully worded, curated act,
So you want to seem that way
and
as well, right?
and I think that reflects me better as a
Right.
suit and tie, and it gives me authority. I mean, I think I walk on stage dressed nicely, and the audience goes, "Okay, well, we should probably hear him out."
Yeah.
I mean, for a second, maybe
Yeah,
not.
yeah, yeah.
You don't get more than
But
a minute.
every second counts when you're making that first impression to a new audience.
Well, my opening joke is now the one I do now is sort of a perfect joke for me. My opening line, I go on stage, I go, "Nice hand for everybody you've already heard. Clap, clap, clap." I go, "Thank you so much for coming. This will be fun. You're a nice group. I'm excellent. So this is going to work out for all of us."
Yeah.
And it gets a good laugh because it's hyper confident, but also clearly self-effacing. Nobody would
Yeah.
say that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
clearly a joke. And it's a great way to start.
Hmm. Yeah, it puts you off on a good footing because you are confident in your material. So like you do have some right to be like, this is gonna go great. And then
Yeah.
even if it starts to turn another way, it's like that even becomes funny because of how confident you were going into it.
Mhm.
Like, yeah.
Well, I
I've
also think that it's a huge mistake to I mean, I always tell young comics who go off and go, "Oh, you're not liking me," or blah blah blah, and they don't have a joke. They're just being open about how bad it's going. I always
right.
say it's none of their business how it's going.
Yeah.
It's like no magician goes, "Oh my God, doves in my coat." It's the
So
act.
true.
It's
Yeah,
an
yeah.
act. You don't, they're not part of your act.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, they don't know what you intend to do. They only know what they see. It may feel to you like, oh my God, this is a disaster, but only because you have a certain view. I
Mhm.
mean, it happens to me a lot where I come off and I say, yeah, that was okay. And people go, that was great. And I say, you got to understand, I've been at every Simon Rakoff show. I've
Yeah.
yet this one. So I have a basis for comparison.
Yeah. I get mad at myself when I like miss a tag or I forgot to do this joke and I just went right into something else. But then it's so important I think to just record every set because not just for like keeping track of your material, but just for your own mental health to go like, okay, it wasn't as bad as I thought. Because right when you get off stage, your brain immediately fills with like, okay, what didn't work? Because we're working on a craft. Like you almost want something to be like a little off so that you can get in there and tinker with it. If my jokes are landing and hitting all the time, I go, I got to write some new stuff. Like these are done.
But
Put them away.
I, I mean, I find, and this is going to sound ridiculous, but my jokes pretty much all work. I mean, I'm at the point where my act works
You've got the craft
all the
down.
way
Yeah.
through. But that doesn't mean I'm not always looking for another tag, another line,
Hmm.
another way to do it, an addition, of this, of that. I'm always playing with it anyway. I also mix up the order a lot. When I do a
Hmm.
long set, I learned, not learned, I figured out over the last few years how to get from anywhere to anywhere with a joke.
Right.
My act is seamless. You don't
Yeah.
ever go, I don't ever go, okay, now let's talk about this.
Right.
Every bit leads to the next bit with a joke that is part of this bit, but also now part of this bit, so that
Hmm.
you don't even realize, oh, he was talking about that, and now he's talking about this because that
Yeah.
linking joke. And I've got one for almost anywhere to anywhere else
That's great to
in the
have
act.
like transitions in your mind of like you have that Rolodex of jokes that you know inside out, but the transition is the most important thing so that you have the freedom to make it sound like it's coming off the cuff because people that's what they think sometimes is I hear people go, I can't believe he just gets up there and talks like that. I'm like, it's a lot of work that went into it just sounding like talking. Like
Well, that's the point,
that's
and this
that's
is
the expert.
but that's also the reason that people have. I mean, performers tend to have tremendous respect for stand-up.
Hmm.
When you meet other entertainers, artists, they're like, oh my God, I could never do that. That's the hardest. But regular people who are used to show business being full of ta-da, so much of show business is frankly bullshit,
Yeah,
you know?
it's show.
Magicians take 3 minutes with the oh, and the
Yeah.
lies to get to the little effect they do
Yeah,
because that's what makes it dramatic and a show.
right.
Rock stars, so much of it is,
Yeah.
not even the singing, it's
Yeah.
the effort. We're showing our effort in what we do. Whereas the whole thing with comedy is the opposite, where it's like, hey, we're just casually having a little chat here, and zing, I got you.
Yeah.
And this other thing happened, zing, and got you again. Because if you go out there like, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
then the audience is like, what's going on? They're not relaxed enough to trip.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Yeah,
so
you
it
got
creates a false impression in a person who doesn't understand that this is a craft. To their mind, he's just talking.
yeah.
I can do that.
Yeah,
That's
that's where the hecklers come up, which is the other thing that kind of worries me about all this like crowd work material is we're almost conditioning audiences to think that they're helping us when they decide to give you a crowd work moment by yelling something out. Like, oh, don't worry, that's going to go viral for you. It's like, I care about right now and these people in the room that paid to see a show, not whatever. This is a rhetorical performance. It's not. I'm not asking for feedback as we're going
Unless I
throughout
ask you a
this.
direct question, absolutely.
There you
Well,
go.
I
Yeah.
actually said one night somebody heckled me, and I said, "Oh, we could do one of those comedian destroys heckler videos." But here's a
Crack your
thought.
neck.
I said, "But here's a thought. Why don't we do this video of heckler realizes nobody paid to see him and thinks better of it and shuts the hell up."
Yeah.
Let's do that video.
Yeah, yeah, that's
And
great.
it got a good laugh.
Yeah, totally. I have a funny off question because this is something that I have. It's an unwritten rule in comedy that I have always abided by. And I remember telling a friend because he was coming to see me do a show in the summer, and it was a hot day in Toronto. I think it felt like 40 degrees, and he said, "Why don't you just wear shorts on stage?" And I was like, I'll die before I wear shorts on stage. So, how do you, Simon Rakoff, feel about shorts on stage for performers?
I mean, look, if you're John Cena, you wear shorts, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Again, it comes
Again,
down to the character.
yeah, I mean, I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah.
saying you can't wear shorts, but it shouldn't be a choice of comfort. I'm
Yes, there
wearing
you go.
shorts because I'm hot. I mean,
Hmm.
in fact, I've worn my suit and people go, "Oh my God, you're going up there in this heat in the suit?" And I go, "Yeah, because this is what I wear on stage."
Yeah.
And when I'm on stage, I don't feel a thing. I have been on stage sick as a dog. And the
Hmm.
second I step up there, I am fine for my 45 minutes. And as soon as it's over, I'm going to die again. But
Yeah.
when I'm up there, I don't know. It's a cure-all. It's a bulletproof vest, that microphone and light.
It really is. And people don't even take that into consideration that like I've done shows where I'm in the green room, my mom calls me and says like, "Hey, your grandmother just passed away." Oh, thanks. I'm about to just go on. That's sad. I'm about to go on stage now and say my jokes that I think are funny and hopefully make these people laugh, and you have to almost like put that at the back of your brain for however long you're up there for. And that's just the comedian's job. It's like everybody in that audience might be going through something. They came there to laugh, and you put yourself in that position to be the ones to make them laugh.
I've actually found some of my best shows have been in dark, dark times because the catharsis is so needed in that moment. For me,
Hmm.
forget the
Hmm.
audience. I've felt like, this is the worst day of my life, and I'm going to go out there and I'm going to put that energy into the laughs. And
Yeah.
because funny, that's the other thing that people don't understand. I mean, people are more aware these days, but funny and happy are not in any way related. In
Yes.
fact, often the opposite.
Yeah, very much the opposite. This is the sad clown trope.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's absolutely true. What
Yeah.
kind of person needs to hear laughs like that from
Oh my.
strangers?
Yeah.
It's pathetic. I mean, if you really think about it, but
Yeah. Simon, there's one question that I always end the podcast with, and it's
no,
essentially,
I am not looking for a relationship.
would you
Sorry,
like
go
to?
on, go on, go on. Go on.
It's essentially, what advice would you give to your younger self? But I want to add some context. I want you to think of you at 15 years old, where you were at that time, who you were at that time, and the phone rings and it's you now on the other end, and you can give your younger self a piece of advice. Different universes, let's say. So no winning lottery numbers or invest in Bitcoin. Some real
Oh,
advice
I
based on the
understand.
life that
Yeah.
you've lived. People take it a million different ways, so I feel like I have to add.
No, no. I mean, and we're comedians, so we're going to
Yeah,
make jokes
yeah,
like
of
that.
course.
Every girl who you go, trust me,
Yeah,
she's
yeah,
worth it,
yeah,
or she's not worth it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Um, no, I would probably say to myself, don't let the doubt and fear of other people become your doubt and fear.
Mm,
You know, I think I struggled and fought a lot against the people outside of myself who said, you're throwing your life away. When I knew, but I really like this and want to do this. And
hmm.
I toughed it out and stuck with it, and it turned into a good life. But I think I suffered a lot of self doubt and fear. And anxiety from even considering the opinions of people who, whether they meant the best for me or not, didn't actually know what was best for me.
Hmm. No, that's solid advice. I always like try to live by, I'm not going to take advice from someone who's in a position that I don't want to be in. Like if you are, even when it comes to like parents, right? Like my parents, my mom's a nurse, my dad's a welder. If I wanted to be a welder or a nurse, I'd take their advice all day. They had long careers of doing this. They're very experienced in the field, but when it comes to comedy, they don't know anything about the industry. So why would I take their advice, especially because it's biased advice. It's like advice where they just want you to be safe and they want you to be, and you're like, I don't necessarily want to take the safe route. That's why I'm doing this. I want to do the thing that's going to fulfill me and bring me joy, and something that I actually like doing, and
But
I'd
there is a
much rather take
converse.
advice though from someone like yourself, someone that's been in the industry for long enough and seen things.
There is a converse to that, though, which is don't be take your own advice and listen to your own heart. So don't be stubborn. I mean, there are people also who stick with it when they no longer want to be in it because they go,
Hmm.
I'll show them those people who said I shouldn't.
Right.
It's like staying with an abusive partner because your parents said don't stay with them and they're
Right.
abusing you and you go, well, I can't go back to my parents
Yeah,
because
yeah,
then
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
wrong.
Then
It's
I
okay.
prove them right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Which comedian's
I
worst
think
fear is heeding to authority.
right, but I think what's important is listen to yourself
Hmm.
because it's not a life for everybody.
Yeah,
And you can still be funny and not do this for a living. You
yeah.
can still, go do sets and still have a real job and
Hmm.
say, okay, so I'm not a comic full time, but I'm happy in my life and I'm doing what I feel like doing because I know too many embittered comics.
Hmm.
Again, it's the game versus toy aspect, who just feel like they never got their due out of the business. And
Right.
none of us do, especially in this country. It's there's no real show business here, right?
No, yeah,
The
there's no
fact that
star
I've been able
system.
to
There's
get by doing this, I'm the lucky, rare exception. And
right.
I've never made any real money compared to all the people I grew up with who have got real jobs. I know they're traveling the world and doing things that I would have been able to do had I been a lawyer, but I would have been miserable being a lawyer. So
Hmm.
it's not worth it for money. That's how I feel.
Right. Yeah. That is what you have to look at it as. Like you're like, well, like people, especially in comedy, when someone else gets something, they go, well, how come I didn't get that? Like I remember when a comic, an LA comic, was talking about like Aziz Ansari when he first was like starting out. He got like some big like movie deal, and they're like, how come I'm not getting a movie deal? They're like, well, he sat down and wrote 3 scripts and went to multiple pitch meetings. Did you do that? Because that's how he got that. You know what I mean? Like you can't be jealous of something that you didn't put the work in the first place.
More importantly, he didn't get your job.
He got his job.
It's not
Yeah.
like they've got 3 jobs. And I mean, bear in mind, I started with Jim Carrey.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Ultimate success ladder.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it never occurred to me that I would have a career like that or want a career like that
Hmm.
because I'm not a, I'm not that guy. You
Yeah.
know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
like those opportunities would be for me
Right.
and I would be bad at it if they were. So it's not, I don't have that kind of jealousy.
Yeah.
The other thing is when I started, bear in mind, there were maybe a dozen comics, maybe.
Crazy.
So we would go to the club every single night and we would go to the deli after every night and we would help each other with our acts because it was more like
Wow.
a circus troupe
Yeah.
trying to make something that we hoped people would come to. The club wasn't making any money at the beginning. Nobody
Hmm.
cared. It wasn't a thing yet. It eventually became a popular thing. And then there was a comedy boom and things sort of took off a little bit. But at the beginning, there was no knowing that we were going to get anywhere or that it would become something people wanted to see.
Yeah. Wow.
It's like when you watch World War II movies. We know they win.
Yeah.
They didn't know they were going to win.
No, knee deep in the trenches. They had no idea when it was going to end.
Exactly. Or
Yeah.
how.
Yeah.
So I have a different perspective on the whole thing. For me, I still give away as many jokes as I keep.
Hmm.
People who I see their act and I go, well, here's an idea for something. I saw you do something and I give them a joke. And they're like, but what about you? I said, well, I'm not going to write your premise just to do the one joke I thought of for
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
It's not, that's
It's
not
not
how it
worth
works.
it, dude. Yeah, yeah.
And I
I
didn't,
love giving people jokes. Like when I watch someone perform and a tag pops into my head, and I'm always first to be like, "You don't have to take this, but when you said this, I thought you were gonna say this." You know, and then just see them, and like often, most people like light up and they go, "Wow, thanks. Can I have that?" Like, yeah, 100%. Use it because that's what I love about comedy is the joke writing aspect of it.
well, that's the thing. And some
Yeah.
people are more into that, and some people are more into the performance or the
Right.
attention or the showing off or the
Yeah.
whatever parts. And more power to them, I say.
Yeah.
It's not
It
a
takes all
problem.
kinds.
Well, it does. And everybody knows. I mean, look, over the years, I have seen so many people come and go,
Hmm.
and many of them were hilarious or just real entertainers. They would just give their all up there, and the audience was like, oh, this is great. And they're all gone because unless you really want to do it, you're not going to get enough encouragement or motivation to stick around.
Hmm.
There's going to be, unless you're unbelievably lucky and get something very quickly, odds are you're going to struggle and you're going to suffer and you're going to doubt yourself and you're going to wonder, what am I doing with my life at some point? And the only thing that's going to keep you in it is, but it's so great to be up there and hear those laughs.
Yeah.
That's the only thing.
Yeah. Simon, I'm going to share your stuff here for people watching on YouTube. They can go to simonrakoff.com. Go listen to Simon's album that's on the website there. It's called Surrounded by Idiots.
Actually,
Uh,
it's streaming wherever you stream.
okay. Yeah. So you
Um,
can search that too. Just search
so
Simon's name.
just find it on whatever streaming service you use. And here's the thing, by the way, you don't have to listen to it. Just play it, and I'll get paid. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
I don't want to waste people's time. Like, put it
No,
on,
listen to
go
it on
for a
your commute.
walk,
Yeah.
live your life. I'm not here to bother you.
And it's comedian Simon Rakoff on Instagram. Do you have anything else that you want people to check out?
Nah, that's again, just check me out. Check out. I have a calendar on my site, so I fill in when I have shows, and I update it as soon as I get a booking. So come see me. I think I'm in St. Catharines one night in November, and I'm often at the Absolute Club up on Young Street, and often I'm not, the headliner or even the MC, but I'll be doing a set some nights, and I'm definitely worth seeing once, I always say.
Definitely worth seeing once. Simon, thanks so much, man, for making the time to come on the show. I
My
really
pleasure.
appreciate
It
it.
was a delight.
Yeah. All right. Hope to see you
I'm gonna
around.
go make dinner now. Bye bye.
Nice. Enjoy. Take care.